Hey there guys, I am SonicGhost and welcome to another bonus part of Mario Kart 64. Today we're going to be taking a look at our final option here for the one-player game mode of Mario Kart 64, and that is none other than Time Trials. Time Trial is a mode where you can race just by yourself on any of the 16 given courses here in Mario Kart 64 and beat your own personal best. So in this mode, you're definitely going to want to pick the character that not only you feel the most comfortable playing, but also a character that can give you a little bit of an edge when it comes to your overall speed. And this is the part where I need to make a little bit of a correction to something I said in the main playthrough of Mario Kart 64. I was under the impression that the heavyweight characters in this game, being Donkey Kong, Wario, and Bowser, they were considered the fastest characters in Mario Kart 64 due to their top speed, as in future Mario Karts and even a Mario Kart game before this one, Super Mario Kart, heavyweight characters are the fastest ones in every other game except Mario Kart 64. Instead, the fastest characters in this game are the lightweights, being Peach, Toad, and Yoshi. And even then, the middleweight class characters of Mario and Luigi have an edge over the heavyweights. So you see on screen now all the stats between all 8 characters here in Mario Kart 64, and these stats are using the 100cc values for their overall speed, which is what Time Trial will be played in, so this will be relevant for this said mode. The heavyweight characters are actually in fact the slowest characters, having the same top speed as the middleweights, being around 310, but their turn speed and their overall acceleration in some cases are just flat out worse, Bowser being the worst case scenario here, just taking the longest to actually get up to a proper speed due to very low acceleration. Not to mention these characters don't have the best turn speed, meaning their handling is pretty bad. So you're gonna mainly see people, if they're getting any good times here in the Time Trial mode of Mario Kart 64, usually pick one of the lightweights like Peach, Toad, or Yoshi due to their faster stats and just the better overall control. So let's start our first Time Trial race here. I'm gonna pick one of our lightweight characters. I'm gonna pick Yoshi, my favorite of the 3. And now let's just go ahead and pick any of these courses to get things started, and I'm gonna pick Koopa Troopa Beach. So instantly jumping into Time Trial mode here, we are just racing around here by ourselves, no other competition, no items outside of our 3 mushrooms, and we can see on our speedometer, we are capping out at 100cc, so this is the fastest that we can go. But in Time Trial mode, your goal is just to race around the track as fast as you can and try to get a good time overall. And you want to keep on practicing the said mode, trying to get a better time and a lower time overall, just to see how well you stack up, not only against yourself, but also against other people. Now, the caveat to that one, though, is that Mario Kart 64 has no online functionality, so there are actually websites made specifically so you can actually share your overall Time Trial scores and your actual runs online. Shoutouts to MarioKart64.com in particular to being the go-to place for everything Mario Kart 64 related, especially time trialing. There are ways to share around your performances here in Mario Kart 64 by today's standards, and that's actually a really good thing, just simply because, well, simply put, this was the first game to do the time trial stuff. This was the very first of its kind. So because of that, there were definitely some things that weren't fully ironed out yet at this point, and you can clearly see it based on how things played out here. But there you go. That was Koopa Troopa Beach, completed in 1 minute, 32 seconds, and 9 milliseconds, making that a brand new record on this copy of Mario Kart 64. When you complete a time trial race, you have the option to save this ghost data to your controller's memory pack. But here's the catch about this though. In order to save a ghost, you need a lot of space on your controller pack. In fact, just one Ghost Data could occupy the entirety of an N64 controller pack, at least when the game first came out, using a total of 123 pages. Later version of Mario Kart 64 shipped with time trial data that was only taking up 121 pages now, giving you 2 pages free. So not really any room to store any other saves on your controller pack. You basically need to dedicate a controller pack to a Ghost Data, which is very, very inconvenient. But since I'm playing the PC port here, Spaghetti Kart, we can save 2 Ghost Datas here, no problem, and we have more than enough space on modern hard drives and solid-state drives, so I'm not really worried about this. So let's go ahead and save our Ghost and watch it back. You can race back your Ghost and also watch back your performance here in the game after you complete a said time trial. So this is one way that you can go ahead and play the mode, watching back your Ghost to try to see if you can do better than a previous attempt, learn the mistakes you had here, and also just try to compete against the Ghost to get a faster time. But because I am playing on the unofficial PC port here, Spaghetti Kart, as you can see, the Ghost Data here is desynced. At the time of filming this said video, this version of Spaghetti Kart, which is the Alfredo Alpha 0.9.1 version, has an issue with the Ghost Data at the current moment, where they are extremely likely to desync. So, unfortunately, we're not able to use this version of the game in order to race against any Ghost or even watch back a replay, because as you can see with my Koopa Troop Beach replay here, Yoshi can't even finish the first lap. He is constantly driving against a wall due to a scripting error. So this is an unfortunate thing, but at the same time, it's not the only version of Mario Kart 64 we're able to play to use Ghost Data like this. Alright, so now we're here at Moo Moo Farm, so we can go ahead and record another Ghost here in Mario Kart 64. And this time around, we're not going to have any more issues when it comes to our Ghost Data desyncing and driving into walls going forward. So, for the entirety of this Mario Kart 64 playthrough, I've been using the unofficial PC port known as Spaghetti Kart. This is a decompilation of Mario Kart 64 that, at the time of filming this, which is still on Alfredo Alpha 0.9.9.1, and this version of the decompilation of Mario Kart 64 unfortunately has issues with Ghost Data right now, constantly desyncing, whether it be your own recorded data or even staff Ghost Data, which we will get into staff Ghost Data later in this video. But unfortunately, the decompilation version of Mario Kart 64 just has an issue right now with Ghost Data as a whole. So, we are now playing a different unofficial PC port of Mario Kart 64, known as Mario Kart 64 Recompiled. This version of the game is completely different from the decompilation project, as not going into the real nitty-gritty of what's different between a decompilation of a video game and a recompilation of any said game, because quite honestly, I don't really know the full difference between the two on a more technical breakdown. But to simplify things, a decompilation takes the original game's code, breaks it down bit by bit, and then you can use that said code and build upon it in the case of the decompilation Mario Kart 64 PC port known as Spaghetti Kart. That was built from the ground up to work on PC. But the recompilation is instead building code that's basically making our computer act like this game is playing on an actual Nintendo 64, so it's essentially doing some trickery to get this game to work on modern hardware in a completely different way from how a decompilation would work. These two games do have differences. For example, the decompilation of Mario Kart 64, it has a course editor built into it, so you can mess around with courses in real time with the decomp version of Mario Kart 64 and build new tracks in that said version of the game. Also, multiplayer is fully working right now in the decompilation, and you also have some extra features that can fix some of the limitations that Mario Kart 64 had back in the day. That kind of stuff is not present on the recompilation. In my experience, I've only been able to get one controller to work with the recompilation version of Mario Kart 64, so unfortunately this version is single player only. But this version of the game does have mod support, so you can use things like HD texture packs, like MK Reloaded for example, to clean up the game and just add more things to Mario Kart 64. So they do have different features between the two different versions, but thankfully, the recompile port here of Mario Kart 64 got updated just a few weeks ago to 0.9.1 at the time of filming this video. This version of Mario Kart 64 recompiled now works with controller packs, meaning that we can save our ghost data, and as you just saw with the Moo Moo Far Ghost, it can play back perfectly fine, having no issues unlike the decompiled version of Mario Kart 64. So for the remainder of this video, for our time trial runs, we're going to be using the recompiled version of Mario Kart 64 due to the staff ghosts and our own ghost just working better here in this version of the game. But yeah, now we are actually at a completely different point in our time trial adventure. We can go ahead and race against this said ghost at any given point, hence why we want to save that ghost data to our controller pack. We can race against our ghost and see how it drives and drive against it in real time to see if we can beat our previous best on any given track. But remember, you can always save 2 ghosts on your controller pack, so you will have to delete one of those ghost datas at some point if you want to save another ghost. And keep in mind that controller pack support is not present on the Wii Virtual Console, the Wii U Virtual Console, and the Nintendo 64 Nintendo Classics version on the Nintendo Switch, which is included with Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass, due to having a lack of controller pack support. With the recompiled and the decompiled versions of Mario Kart 64 on PC, we have that support. It's just, at the current moment, it's a little busted on Spaghetti Kart, which the team knows and are trying to get that fixed. Hopefully sometime in the near future, that'll be fixed. Well, this is different. Now meet the course staff ghost. We are racing against Luigi here on Luigi Raceway, and this is one of the people who helped make Mario Kart 64. This is a staff member playing the game, and now we're racing against their personal best here on Luigi Raceway. How you unlock staff ghosts here in Mario Kart 64 is that you must race on the course and get yourself a time under a certain value, but in my experience, some of those times don't really seem to add up in the same way as I've been reading online, but from what I can gather, here on Luigi Raceway, you need to be a time of 1:50:54. My personal best here is under this time by a good amount, and because of that, now I can race against the staff ghost, Luigi. I have noticed though, it's the Mario Raceway ghost that I'm not 100% sure on its overall time for it to show up, due to how I've been unlocking the said staff ghost. It's just been a little inconvenient, but from what I can understand, here on Luigi Raceway, if you get around a 150 or less, Luigi will show up. So once you race here on the course yet again, this guy will be available to race against. It doesn't matter the version you're playing here. We could be playing on the N64 version, Wii, Wii U, or even the Switch versions of this game, and the staff ghosts will work, although the staff ghosts are also bugged at the current moment, sadly, for the decompiled version of this game, Spaghetti Kart. So we're going to be racing these ghosts here on the recompiled version instead. But as you can see here, Luigi was nowhere near me, and I beat the course time. No issues here with 1 minute, 45 seconds, and 88 milliseconds. So that's a new personal best by 1 second actually compared to my previous time. So that's the first ghost done. Now let's go ahead and race against another one. Now we're racing Mario here on Mario Raceway. This staff ghost, this is the one I'm not 100% sure on the actual time you need to unlock this one, because sources for me has said you need a time of 1 minute, 20 seconds, and 44 milliseconds. But that is not my PB on this course. In fact, it's over that. So I'm not 100% sure on the actual time frame here to unlock Mario because 120 doesn't sound right. I would say if you get a 1 minute 30-second time or less, then this ghost should be able to show up, but there's no real concrete evidence I have for this, unfortunately. So you just want to get a low time here, a low 120 something if possible, yet under that 1 minute and 30 time range. You'll see what my time is here once we beat the said staff ghost, but as you can see, we are leaving this Mario in the dust. Taking these very specific shortcuts here is giving us a pretty big advantage over this Mario player. So this is why I don't believe its time is a 1:20:44, because the ghost itself can't keep up, and I've tested this on real hardware. This ghost performs the same way on actual N64 compared to this recompiled version, so it's nothing to do with my version of the game, unlike the decompiled stuff where my Yoshi ghost can just drive through a wall. But in this case, we beat the staff ghost with a 1 minute, 23 second, and 2 millisecond time. Not my personal best here, but it's pretty close by just a few milliseconds. So, not a bad run against Mario. But there's one more staff ghost for us to take a look at here, so let's go ahead and change to our final course. Alright, our final course takes us here to the Royal Raceway to race against Peach. This ghost time, roughly you need 2 minutes, 39 seconds, and 99 milliseconds or less for this ghost to show up. So roughly under a 2:40 time on this said course for the Peach staff ghost to be available to race against. But this is our final staff ghost, and yeah, there's only 3 in the game, just 1 per raceway, and we don't even get one on Wario Stadium, which is technically the 4th raceway course in this game, but sadly, it's just these 3 staff ghosts. Due to memory limitations on the N64, there's only so much that you can do in order to actually make a bunch of different staff ghosts and get them all to fit on the cartridge. We already mentioned before just how much some ghost data here for the game takes up on a controller pack, just taking up the entire thing. Because keep in mind, the controller packs are equivalent to about 64 bytes. And the most that an N64 cartridge usually was back in the day was around 32 megabytes. That's for the entire game. So it's not surprising that we only have 3 staff ghosts here because of just how big these staff ghost files are probably taken up on the actual cartridge. And adding more than 3 would just be a little too much. So at least we got some staff ghosts at this time. For this being the very first game in the franchise to feature a time trial mode, this kind of practice would become standardized in future Mario Kart games, and with just how technology advanced, we were able to fit more staff ghosts on an actual system's either cartridge or disc or whatnot, so future Mario Kart games would have a staff ghost for every single course in the game, as this just became a tradition for Mario Kart game time trial. You would want to unlock a staff ghost, or it would just be unlocked from the very beginning of your said time while racing around in time trial mode, and then that was just a pastime for Mario Kart players. In order to learn the course, it's always good to run a time trial race like this and also race against ghost data just to see how well you can perform in the game, how you can learn shortcuts to improve your times, and just get better at the controls in general. So these staff ghosts were a great addition to time trial mode here, as it gave you something to work towards a proper end goal. And racing against these ghosts, and you get to see how Nintendo themselves drive the courses to give you an idea of how you can drive these courses yourself in order to improve your own gameplay. But there you go. That is our final staff ghost with a time of 2 minutes, 35 seconds, and 63 milliseconds. Not my best time here, by about a second, but that's still enough to beat the said staff. And that is it for the time trial mode. This is a great way of playing the game in order to learn more about how Mario Kart 64 plays, and just in general practice your racing, learn the shortcuts, and just improve on the game as a whole. But that is it. The only other thing to mention about time trial mode, and it doesn't matter if we hit the R button to go in the data, we can also go to the time trial option here on the game select, and this will also take us into our data menu. This is where we can see our times, and it can only record 5 different time slots here. It'll tell you the character you used for that said best time. It'll tell you your best lap for every course. You can delete this data if you don't want to keep this around anymore and you just want to restart from scratch per course, which is a cool idea. And also going to the data mode, you can see how big the course is in total. So this is 717 M, which I'm going to assume that is meters for this said game's metrics. We can see our ghost data here for Moo Moo Farms, for example. So this here is a thing we can interact with. If we're running out of space on our controller pack, we can just delete this ghost and get some of that space back so we can create more ghost data. As a reminder, you can only create 2 ghost data at a time here in Mario Kart 64, and that's all your controller pack can hold. So every once in a while, it may be a good idea to erase that ghost data if you want a new ghost to race against. But that's basically everything here in Mario Kart 64's time trial mode. It's a great way to practice the game, as I said before, and just a fun little extra thing you can do in Mario Kart 64 single player wise. And it's a cool thing to see this be a tradition, starting here with the second entry in the franchise. But that's gonna do it for this said video. So with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.